Well, yesterday was the regular monthly meeting of GRF, and we have the new board president here. Nice to see you, Larry Souza.
Good to be here.
He is
Thank you.
the president of the board, and the meeting ran about 3.5 hours yesterday, so it was a long meeting, but you had a lot to go through.
Right.
And you did, especially when it came to the new business matters. There was a lot there. And once you got to the committee reports, there really wasn't too much there.
Right. Yeah.
You know, a lot of the committee meetings were, during the month of November were canceled or pushed back a little bit.
Correct.
So there wasn't too much there. So the meeting went pretty well, though.
Yeah, it went good. We had some, I could touch on a few of the highlights.
Sure.
We had the reservation agreement that had been quite contentious for some time, so that finally got resolved, and it went through its 30-day hold period. So that was passed. It removed all the indemnification language from the provision.
Right.
Made it simple,
Yeah.
so I think that worked out really well. We had a discussion on an open hearing we had to vote on for disciplinary actions coming up. And the board voted to have that in open session. So that also went well. That'll happen next month.
So it'll be it'll be an agenda item on your regular
That's correct.
January
meeting. That's
Okay.
correct. We had, we reestablished a GPRC committee that had been taken off a couple of years ago, and some of the board members had expressed some interest in having it back. We have our 50th anniversary coming up, so there would be some more things to be covering. So that's being worked on as we speak, actually.
So that will be
it will be a
separate
standing committee.
as it
Used to be. That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. Now
All
we're
right.
working on how we're going to do that between media and GPRC, but they're getting that worked out, so
Okay.
that'll be good.
All right.
We approved all the committee appointments. That was a chore in itself.
Yeah, you were talking about that.
Yeah, Pat English from United had mentioned one time that was the hardest thing she had to do as president, and I didn't think much about it until I had to do it. So I concurred with her. It was a tough one. So
Yeah, a lot of committees and trying to get people on committees that
Yes.
they want to be on.
and it's tough.
And it's a
tough.
lot of time.
That's a lot of time, and people want to be where they're comfortable, and I understand that. So I think we did okay, and there still might be some changes as we go along.
Right.
People find their niche, and it's not in concrete, so we could still move people around if we had to. Probably the larger issue we had was the transfer fee.
Right.
That was brought up, and there was a motion made to raise the transfer fee by $1,000. Quite a bit of discussion, pros and cons on it. I think the board felt that it was something that was there for us to use. Our reserves have been continually going down on a percentage basis, and there's a lot of things, Clubhouse 1, Building E, these are problems that are coming up down the road that we're going to need extra reserves for.
Right.
And we just need to build our reserves up. So anyway, we felt that was a good time to raise that. We debated doing and not doing it and all the pitfalls, but past history has showed us that it hasn't affected the sales whatsoever. So we thought it was a good move. And
Yeah.
so we think it'll be good for the community. It's new money. It's a new revenue stream.
And it's used to, you explained this yesterday, and there was discussion on this about the word enhance, and because
Correct.
it's there to basically enhance the facilities. And
Exactly.
some people were looking at that two different ways. What does
Right.
that mean to build new facilities? Does that
Right.
mean to retrofit new facilities? Well, it means both.
Correct. That's
Enhance.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we would only build if we needed to, and as Clubhouse 2 has become sort of a lightning rod, but it's a business decision on how we go forward with Clubhouse 2. And it's a matter of being fiduciarily responsible with the residents' money. So, that's kind of where we're at with that. So anyway, I think that's going to work out well for the community, and we're not going to, this will help mitigate raising assessments to come up with more reserves. So I think this is a good thing all the way around.
So it was voted to.
It was voted
the
in,
additional.
yes, it
When
was.
will that, as far as take effect,
It's
as far
not
as new sales?
certain yet for sure, but it looks like it will be January 1. And
Okay.
any transactions that are in escrow will not be affected by this.
Okay.
It'll be anything after.
Right, and as somebody mentioned yesterday, there was a little bit of discussion about who pays this. And in reality, that is between the seller and the buyer. As we've seen in many cases, when somebody sells a home, whether it's here or
Sure.
outside, sometimes they cover certain costs. It's
That's
the
right.
negotiating
Yeah.
thing, and that's the way it works.
It's going to be a
Or it's
deduction.
built into the cost or whatever.
That's
up
correct.
to the seller.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So, that's could go either way.
Right.
We also are starting an energy committee for alternative energy. We're kind of excited about this one because there's a lot of talk in the community. We get questions about why don't we do solar and why don't we do this? And so this committee is going to be tasked with looking into smaller projects, starting out with like lighting, LED lighting, small things like that. And we funded this committee with $50,000 to start
Right.
with. And all that did was give them the funds, so the money is already there. We don't have to go through the long process of getting funded. So it short circuits the process. And but when the committee comes up with a project, they will bring it to the board. So the board will have the ultimate decision on whether we go forward or not. So there will be oversight. It's not like we gave the committee $50,000 to go out and have a good time and spend it.
Right.
That's not
It could
the
be
case.
for a pilot program, a
It could be,
consultant, whatever it may
that's
be.
correct, that's
Okay.
correct. Or we were thinking more along the lines of like LED lighting, we could change parking lots into LED lighting versus what we have now. So
Right.
that's kind of where that's at. So that's going to be a good one, I think. We had a consent calendar that was just, the hearing club has donated. They want to put in an audio loop in the art room, which will be good for hearing impaired. It's good. The 19 restaurant is going to donate that's $20,000 worth of equipment to put in the kitchen. I think they're going to a 4-burner stove and some different appliances in there to help out. And so that was a nice little gift from them.
Okay, so the restaurant group that owns that, or runs it, I should say,
Correct.
they will put up their own money to improve the kitchen facilities.
That's
there.
correct. And all they asked in return was that the existing stove that's there now, that they be able to sell it and keep that money. So
Okay.
it was a good deal for GRF
Okay.
really, and for the community. Also, what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be considering changing the format of the board meetings as far as reports go.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
We probably will be looking at maybe alternating some of the committees, maybe GPRC, and maybe the media, maybe mobility, we don't know yet, so that our meetings aren't strung out quite so long, and we can devote a little bit more time to M&C and finance and the ad hoc and some of those more intense committees that maybe can, have a little bit more time to give reports on.
Okay.
So try to
And that-
streamline it a little bit.
That makes sense because some of these committees, as you said, they don't do a whole lot every month, but every quarter
Exactly.
they can give an
Right.
overview of what's happened, and you can space those out.
Right. So I think that's kind of what we're looking at. But overall, the meeting went well. I think we got a lot accomplished.
There was a little talk, I thought this was kind of interesting, kind of nice, really, a little talk about outdoor art and
Yes.
how you might go about people maybe donating outdoor art, sculptures, things like
Yeah,
that.
this was
something you're
mentioned in
beginning
the-
to look into.
Yeah, we're going to look into it, and Director Moore is going to kind of head that up, I think, and it was something that she wanted to do. So she's going to be tasked with seeing how this is going to work and set up a committee, find people who are interested in art. Not everybody's interested in this type of stuff.
Right.
But if she has the contacts and knows people, it's fine. I think it's a good thing for the community. We'll just have to work our way through it. She was instructed to kind of look into it and get some of the particulars, bring it back to the next board meeting, and we can look at it. Somebody mentioned about a veterans memorial, that we could have possibly
Right.
somewhere, maybe over on the new outdoor green area that will be over by Clubhouse, the new Clubhouse too. Something on that order. So maybe
Yeah.
this art thing could all fit in and.
I think over the years, a lot of people have talked about donating artwork to the community, whether it's for a long-term or short-term.
Right.
And to maybe have something that's sort of set in place here, it would streamline that, because often they'll talk about what they want to do, and then it gets stuck
Right.
in a committee about, well, how long we have it, where we put it, who's going to maintain it, and
Right.
things like that. So,
Yeah. No, it's good. I think these are the kind of things our community needs. We need to think out of the box sometimes, you know. You know, I think that it's important that we keep the community running, you know, at a good pace, and keep the community up. I think that, you know, over the last few years, we've kind of fallen behind on keeping things up. You know, Clubhouse 1 is in need of some repairs and
Right.
A facelift, so to speak. And I think it's a matter of boards, you know, getting off the dime and making a decision and going forward. You know, it's easy to kick the can down the road and let somebody else worry about it. And, you know, sometimes you got to make the, you know, maybe the not so popular decision and go with it.
Right. And one of those things you talked about yesterday were the pros and cons of some of using electric vehicles as some of the maintenance vehicles.
Exactly. I was over at Ralph's, over at the maintenance, on another issue, and he showed me how he had taken one of the new electric pickups we have, little vans, and they were having problems going up the hill with it.
Yeah.
And they just, on their own, they took a transmission out of one of our older ones, and it just fit perfect, and it's a 3-speed transmission versus a 2, and it solved the problem. I mean, they were stoked about it. They were really excited, and I applaud them, you know, for taking the initiative to look into that. So this is kind of what's going on here, and I think he was mentioning that we have about 90 of these little Kawasaki mules running around.
Right, yeah.
He kind of thinks that we have a good possibility of replacing maybe half of those.
With total electric vehicles?
With total electric.
Okay.
So, which would, right now, their latest figures are showing that it's costing about half to run those versus, you know, with charging electricity and everything, than it is with the little diesel mules.
Yeah.
So it's things like that, you know, thinking out of the box a little bit and making a decision. And sometimes you make decisions and they're wrong, but, you know, you back up and learn from it and do it again. You know, go after it. And
well, you look at it from all angles.
Sure.
So that's a good example of you have to see, well, overall, the maintenance on the electric vehicles, the maintenance on the diesel, the cost of diesel versus the cost of electricity. And you have to see what
staff
fits.
over there has been really good about looking into all the little things. Sometimes they look into things that I'm surprised, you know, that's like, my goodness, I haven't thought about that. So, you know, their experience is what they do.
Yeah.
This is what they do. And so they keep good records and they know exactly what the costs are and if it's cost effective or not. And yeah, we have good people working here.
All right, very good. Well, it was a good meeting yesterday.
Yep.
And you're first as the board president. You did a good job.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, and the next replay of that will be tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. here on Channel 6. You see there, it runs 3.5 hours. We'll show it again next Wednesday evening at 6 o'clock. Larry, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you, Ken. Appreciate it.
All right, take care. Have a good Christmas.
Thank you. You too.
We'll be back in just a moment.